Hey Jews, have you ever asked yourself what's the meaning of life? What's the purpose? Because if you have, you've gone looking for some sort of information or knowledge about that in order to understand and answer your own question. And for a Jew, it is absolutely necessary that you go looking for that information from a trustworthy source, from the Torah and the lineage in an unbroken chain throughout history, okay? So if you're asking yourself, what's the meaning of life? Or if you're asking yourself, what does it mean to be a Jew? Or perhaps you're asking yourself, what's going on in reality? Or maybe you're even just asking yourself, what is reality? Then we have to understand some of the wisdom of the Creator. If there was no purpose, if it was just to survive, then what would be the purpose of making a different creation that is not just an animal? An animal's purpose, basically, is no purpose at all. It is just to survive. And an animal doesn't go out searching for information and knowledge in order to understand how to survive. But rather, an animal just survives, just relies on its instincts, just relies on its physical abilities. However, speakers, which are humans, which were made in the image of God and given the ability to speak, okay? The purpose of this creation was to come to some sort of understanding about that purpose and ultimately gain wisdom and awareness that there is a God and that God created this reality and that this reality is very similar to a simulation, and that's the information. And when we look into reality, we can understand that. When we meditate on the wisdom and we reflect on what we know about reality, then we try to understand. Then we have some answers. What is the meaning of life? It is more than just to survive. It is to expand our consciousness, okay? Not like a mineral, not like a plant, not like an animal, and even greater than a speaker. Okay, a speaker, someone who is trying to understand and verbalize what he's seeing around in his reality, okay? Not just the physical materialistic realities, not just everything that is based off of animalistic desires and emotions, but rather some sort of intellectual contemplation of the purpose of reality, the purpose of life, and hopefully seeking wisdom. Now, you could seek wisdom many different places. There is wisdom from every nation. However, there is only one nation that even claims to have the wisdom of God in an unbroken chain, written in the Torah, and has a covenant with God. Okay, we are told that God, the Torah, and the nation of Israel is one. You can't separate it. So you can't just now be the nation of Israel with no God. You can't just have the Torah with no nation of Israel and no God. It's all together. It's all together. That's why none of the laws and none of the information can be changed. Because then in subsequent generations, okay, if everyone was able to reform the Torah and to change the practices of Judaism by now starting to do this, that, and the next thing, start to learn other books like the Tanya or the one that the other Hasidim use or whatever, and you start to do other practices, okay, you're not preserving the objective truth for the rest of the nation of Israel who will come in later generations. In fact, you should be, as a Jew, able to go back in time and just sit down at the Shabbat table of literally any other Jew in any other time and fit right in, okay? Not now waking up late and doing other things and worshiping in different strange ways. Okay, but understanding that this objective truth had to last the Jews, the Jewish nation, until the end of time. Okay, so we would need to understand that. So you could go and look for wisdom in other places, but as a Jew, you have already a spiritual receptivity to this information, okay? So we are told, and it was very interesting, I read a Gemara on this recently, I don't remember which one it was though, but it was saying basically the difference between like it was talking about basically when a baby gets its soul or something like that, or how you could tell, when you could tell if the fetus is one of the two possibilities of gender, female or male. Okay, and it was talking about how we know that, and it started talking a little bit about the soul. The rabbis there in the Talmud, in this unbroken chain of wisdom and understanding, that they left their books for us so that we would have the same exact understanding and the same exact information, okay, not changing anything and not now learning different things, but the exact same. And what they said was that so what we know anyway, okay, what we're taught is that the fetus learns Torah before you're born, okay? So basically a Jew, when you're born, in your lifetime, okay, the time of your life, 70 years, 80 years, 120 years, okay, what your task is and what your purpose is to just go back and relearn it, okay? Earn the understanding, because you as a soul already knows that. Your soul already knows all this information. Okay, so the less physical you make yourself and the less physical the focus of your focus is on, the more spiritual that is, the more you will understand. Okay, and then so they explained also how it's similar to how your soul basically exists when you sleep, because when your body goes to sleep, when you go to sleep and you're asleep, okay, your soul basically leaves your body, okay, and you're sort of like a dead body, okay, so you're like 1/60th of a dead body when you're sleeping, okay. So this spiritual information, when we know that, okay, when you know that information, now 1/60th you're dead, and what we know about that is that dead bodies have impurity. Okay, and it causes an impurity in your body, so that therefore when you wake up, you need to do certain things to purify your body from that 1/60th being like you're dead, okay, in order that your soul will fit better inside your body, because your soul fits inside your body like a hand in a glove. And if it doesn't, then your body is sick, then your soul is sick, then you're wasting your time basically trying to just get healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, so that you will have some sort of receptivity to this information, to this knowledge, okay, so that you can understand it, so that you can understand reality and know what your purpose is, okay? So you see how we need to understand and fulfill our purpose in life as Jews, and we have to know. One of the other things that we must know, okay, is that the nation of Israel, all the Jews, there's something after this sort of like assimilated reality. When the time ends, okay, with the end of time, where are we? 5,785 out of 6,000, okay? So when we look at periods of time, we see there's a beginning period of time. There's a middle period of time, and there is an end period of time, and there's actually an end time. What happens after? What's the information? Well, the information is that after time ends in our reality, which is 5-dimensional, and it's like assimilation, is that the actual like core, the real reality continues. And that's your soul. The soul continues. Okay, the body dies. The time ends. The spiritual part continues, okay, in Olam Haba, in the new. So how do we get there? What happens if we don't follow any of these laws? Okay, are we still going to Olam Haba? Or do we still have an existence? Do we still have some sort of consciousness? Okay? Okay, who knows what happens to minerals after the time ends? What happens to plants after the time and the physical reality ends? What happens to animals when the time and the physical reality ends? Because animals do not have a soul. Okay? What happens to speakers, humans, after the time ends and after there is no physical bodies anymore? What happens to humans, to speakers? What happens to Israel? A higher level of consciousness. What happens to your consciousness after you die? Okay? Well, you know what? There's information on that in the Torah. That's the knowledge you should go and look at. And that's the wisdom you should seek. And that is the understanding that you should have as a Jew.